Hey guys, it's Rachel, and in today's video, I'm going to be comparing Milk Bar's famous Cornflake marshmallow chocolate chip cookies. I know that sounds like a handful, so let's back it up just a little bit. First, we'll start with what is Milk Bar? So for those of you guys who don't know, Milk Bar is a famous New York City bakery founded by Christina Tosi. She sells kind of like nostalgic bakery items and dessert items that bring you back to your childhood and often include like corn or cookies or cereal, things like that. I think they're most well known for their crack pie as well as their cereal soft serve. I've been able to visit Milk Bar a couple of times, and I will say that the desserts are very sweet and sugary, but they really just bring me back to my childhood and bring me back to all these like nostalgic memories of just kind of eating junk food and kind of like guilty pleasure foods. So the other day I was at Whole Foods actually, and I noticed that they were selling these Milk Bar cookies, and they came pre-packaged. I actually thought that they were a cookie baking mix, so like it would come with a powder and you would add like eggs and butter and then mix it up and make cookies. But I was wrong. These are actually the pre-made cookies, but I bought them thinking that it was a cookie mix, and I don't know why. So they come in one of these nice little packs, and basically they include 2 small cookies within it. And I think what makes these cookies so fun is that they include little bits of cornflake crunch, mini chocolate chips, and marshmallows. So there's no shortness on sugar in these bad boys. So when you go into the store, you can actually buy this cookie and they serve it to you nice and warm, so it's really delicious. I will say that my favorite cookie is still the corn cookie, but this one is, you know, a close second. It's not bad. So today I thought I would compare Christina Tosi's pre-packaged cookies that kind of come shipped to you through a grocery store versus making them at home. So in order to make these cookies from scratch or from home, I used Christina Tosi's recipe that she had posted online. But before I actually embarked on making these cookies, I read the reviews, and I feel like that's something that's really helpful, especially as a baker, just to see what other people have been doing and their pitfalls in order to avoid them. So as I was looking at the reviews, I noticed that they were astonishingly bad. Like, everyone had a lot of trouble making these cookies. So basically, after reading all these reviews and all of these complaints about how these cookies didn't turn out, that they were burnt, they were crisp and too thin and lacy, I decided to look for other alternatives. And that's when I stumbled upon a blog that actually took this recipe, adapted it, and made it a lot better. So there were a few different additions, including like adding more flour, cutting down on the sugar, in order to make these cookies better and to make these cookies a little bit more like the ones that they sell in the actual Milk Bar store. So basically, in order to make these cookies, it's pretty simple. You're gonna start by creaming together your butter and your sugar. And I will say that there is a ton of sugar in this recipe. You've got like almost a cup or more of white sugar, and then you've also got like 2/3 cup of brown sugar. So just be prepared to mentally like accept the fact that you are going to eat a ton of sugar. And then on top of that, you're gonna add some marshmallows as well as chocolate chips. Once you've blended together your butter and sugar, you're gonna go ahead and add an egg and some vanilla extract. Then you'll go ahead and mix that up as well. And the last step is to incorporate your dry ingredients, which will include your flour, your baking powder, and some salt. Just blend those in until they just come together. And then you'll go ahead and add some mini chocolate chips, some marshmallows, and cornflake crunch. To make cornflake crunch, which is something I hadn't really explored before, but is very delicious, let me tell you, I snacked on like so much of that. You have to combine cornflakes with melted butter, some milk powder, and sugar, and like kind of toss those ingredients together and then put them in the oven at a low temp in order to get them to crisp up and clump up. I will say that is a delicious snack that I will happily eat any day. I don't even need them to be in cookies. They're great by themselves. Basically, the nice thing about this recipe is that it requires you to make 5 cups of cornflake crunch, and you'll use about 3 cups for the cookies, but the other 2 cups you can just snack on and eat yourself, which is fantastic. And then the very last step is to sort of blend those ingredients together. I actually reserved the marshmallows on the side because I heard lots of people complaining about the marshmallows making the cookies really thin and sticky and just like spreading them out way too much. So once your doughs come together, you can scoop them into about like 2 tablespoon sized balls. And a neat trick that I learned from that blog is to top each cookie dough ball with marshmallows rather than to incorporate them in the mix, because it'll really affect the dough and make it expand and it won't taste great. So I put mine in the fridge overnight, and then the next morning I decided to bake them off. So you'll bake them at 365 degrees Fahrenheit, not 375 like Christina Tosi outlines in her recipe. And you'll do it for about 11 minutes or so until the edges start browning just a touch. And voila, you will have your beautiful cornflake marshmallow chocolate chip cookies from Milk Bar. And now you can kind of see a side-by-side comparison of the pre-packaged ones that I bought in the store versus my own homemade ones. So basically I have the cookies with me here as well. So this set of 2 is from the Whole Foods pre-packaged container, and this cookie here is the one that I made myself. I think looking at it initially, you can definitely see the size difference. Maybe that's just because I scooped larger tablespoons, but my cookies were definitely larger in dimension. I think another component to it is that my marshmallows were a lot more apparent. The marshmallows in the Whole Foods kind, they kind of just looked a little sad and elongated, and they didn't look toasted, and there weren't very many marshmallows, to be 100% honest. Because I topped each of my cookies with marshmallows, I could tell and I could see the nice toasted brownness of those marshmallows on my cookies, which is something I definitely appreciated. And in terms of the cornflake crunch, I would say that my cookies turned out to be a little bit rougher around the edges because the cornflake crunch would poke out or stick out in different spots. But the pre-packaged cookies, they look relatively smooth, probably because they were processed or made in like a factory or something like that. However, now we have to get to the most important part, which is the flavor. So first, I'm gonna start out by trying some of Milk Bar's cookies from their pre-packaged container at Whole Foods. I don't know why, but for some reason, I feel like these cookies taste like a healthy chocolate chip granola bar, not like something sweet and decadent. I mean, it's certainly sweet actually, never mind. Disregard that. The cornflake crunch is very stale, so it doesn't really leave a satisfying chew in your mouth. It's just kind of like soggy leftover cereal that's been like sitting there and incorporated into a healthy granola bar type cookie, which isn't so great. So the bar has kind of been set very low. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and try Christina Tosi's recipe that I baked at home and see if that's better. Guys, I outdid myself. What can I say? So I will say her homemade recipe is 10 times better. I do not know why she even bothered selling something like this because it does not compare at all. The homemade recipe is crisper, crunchier, has buttery notes, and you can taste the cornflake crunch, and it actually has a bite and chew to it. The marshmallows, the chocolate, all of that stuff melts together so much better and so much fresher compared to these sort of pre-packaged cookies that just taste gross or sort of healthy. If you are gonna go out and try some Milk Bar cookies, definitely don't go to Whole Foods and buy these. Just make them yourself. If you're gonna spend the money, make them yourself because it's 10 times better. Flavor-wise, it knocks it out of the park. I know it's a little bit more effort to make your own cookies, but I think it's completely worth it in this scenario. And Christina Tosi, if you're watching this, which I know you're not, I don't know, I just don't recommend you sell these cookies because they really tarnish the Milk Bar brand image and the cookies that I've had in your store. Ultimately, from this taste test, what I've learned is that just make your own homemade Milk Bar cookies. I knew that it was gonna be more work and a little bit more effort, but it completely was worth it. So don't waste your time going out to Whole Foods trying to buy these cookies that don't even taste great when you could just buy the ingredients, maybe spend a little bit more time and effort, but make and produce these beautiful and delicious cookies that really live up to the Milk Bar name and brand. Alright guys, that is it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you guys try out this recipe, definitely leave it in the comment section down below. I'd love to see how they turn out. I'll see you guys next week for an all new one. Bye guys!